Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, passion for excellence.
Here are today's top headlines. The Chevy Volt will be rated at 230 miles per gallon. The Viper could get a Ferrari V10. And Goodyear comes up with a new tire for using on the moon. Up next, we'll be back with the news behind the headlines. This is Autoline Daily for Tuesday, August 11th, 2009, and now the news. General Motors announced this morning that the Chevrolet Volt will be rated at 230 miles per gallon in city driving. That's only 1 liter per 100 kilometers. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency will rate the mileage of plug-ins based on how many kilowatt hours they consume for every 100 miles of driving. GM says the Volt will use 25 kilowatt hours per 100 miles, and since electricity in the U.S. costs an average of 11 cents per kilowatt hour, that means it would only cost you $2.75 to travel 100 miles. Last week, we reported how the Chinese car market is roaring ahead. Now, the Wall Street Journal reports the Brazilian car market set a record for the first half of the year and is on track to make that a record for the full year. Automakers are now starting to hire back workers who had been laid off. The resurgence is thanks to tax cuts, lower interest rates, and longer length loans. Brazil is the 6th largest automaking country in the world. Wards reports that Panasonic EV Energy Company is ramping up production of nickel metal hydride batteries. The supplier is expected to have an annual production capacity of 1 million battery packs when it opens a new facility in Japan next year. It manufactures battery packs for all of Toyota's hybrid vehicles. In 2008, Panasonic reportedly sold 500,000 batteries, more than 90% of them to Toyota. Going forward, nickel metal hydride will still play a huge role in the electrification of the automobile because lithium-ion technology is way too expensive, at least for now. The Dodge Viper has always been powered by a huge V10, but in the future, the engine may shed its Chrysler small block roots in favor of something far more exotic. According to Car and Driver, now that Fiat's in control, rumblings from Torino suggest that the bad boy Dodge may get a 10-cylinder version of the company's next-generation V8. It's expected that the Viper would keep its current pushrod overhead valve arrangement. Former Formula One world champion Michael Schumacher has called off his return to the series. According to the AP, he will not be returning to F1 due to lingering injuries in his neck from a motorcycle crash earlier in the year. Schumacher was going to replace Ferrari driver Felipe Massa for the rest of the season after Massa suffered injuries in a crash during qualifying. Ferrari test driver Luca Badoer will now race in Massa's place instead. Goodyear and NASA have developed an airless tire for use on the moon. The tire is made out of 800 interwoven load-bearing springs rather than rubber. It's able to contour to surfaces to gain traction, and all the energy used to deform the tire is returned when the springs bounce back. NASA needed a new tire to replace the wire mesh tire used on previous missions for use with heavier vehicles and for greater exploration and possibly towards the development of a lunar outpost. Even though it was designed for use on the moon, it's possible it could be used back here on Earth. Coming up next, we'll take a look at Toyota's new Venza crossover, and we'll be back right after this.
Changing tires out here could be dangerous, but with these tires, I don't need to worry.
Bridgestone.
By sheer numbers, many consider Toyota the king of crossovers. Between its 3 brands, it produces some 12 or so different utility vehicles, and that's not counting trucks or vans. But the company must have felt it was missing some part of the market because earlier this year, it introduced a new crossover called the Venza. This CUV is all about combination. It starts with the name Venza, which the company says is a union between the words adventure and Monza, a famous Italian racetrack. Meanwhile, the vehicle itself sort of looks like a cross between the Camry and Highlander SUV, which is appropriate since it's actually built on Toyota's K platform, which delivers both of those vehicles as well. Despite its Highlander heritage, the company actually describes the Venza as 70% sedan and 30% SUV, which is the real difference between it and the rest of the Toyota family. Built on that Camry platform that we mentioned, it's got about 5 more inches of ground clearance than the car, but does not require a running board to get inside. And in fact, there's more Camry under the hood. That's where you'll find the same 3.5-liter V6 engine with 268 horsepower, along with the same 6-speed automatic transmission. This package with the all-wheel drive option is where the company expects 75% of the sales to come from, despite the fact that the standard Venza comes equipped with front-wheel drive and a 4-cylinder. Inside, there's room for 5 passengers with a cargo area with more height and space than your normal station wagon, while up front the cockpit has a design that emphasizes the contemporary. Not only is there a large, well-lit IP, but the center stack, which contains all the usual electronics, has the unusual as well. This is one of 2 music player plug-ins in the Venza. As far as competition goes, Toyota considers the Ford Edge, the Mazda CX-7, and Nissan Murano as its main competitors, though a big difference between all 4 vehicles is that the Venza is the only one that was designed, engineered, and assembled in America. And that may be an important marketing advantage for a crossover available exclusively in North America. As far as sales go, the Venza has been holding its own as the 4th most popular selling utility vehicle in that large Toyota lineup. And by the way, the base Venza lists at 23 combined MPGs and starts at about $28,000, while the top-of-the-line V6 all-wheel drive version comes in at just over $40,000. And that's it for today's top news in the global automotive industry, but don't forget to check out Autoline After Hours this and every Thursday. This week we're broadcasting live from the Woodward Dream Cruise, one of the greatest classic car events in the world. We're setting up shop at the AutoZone Hobby Store in Birmingham, Michigan, so if you're in the neighborhood, stop on by and say hello. Even better, if you got a classic ride, bring it by, and we might just feature it on the show. For more information about AutoZone Hobbies or the Woodward Dream Cruise, check out the John's Journal page of our website. Anyway, that is it for today's show. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.